And we're live here in Marquette, Michigan. It's the Revved Up Podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And Ryan, we're coming off. I mean, it seems like we're coming off a lot of losses this year.
We are. But, hey, Cleveland is a good team.
Yeah.
So the fact that we hung with them almost the entire way, I'll take it.
Yep. Now, granted, they were, without Jared Allen, which, he's a great center. And we were missing a lot of guys too, actually. And so it was nice just to see guys like Killian and Bagley just eat up some minutes and just kind of get a feel for what their chemistry is building like. And dude, I mean, you've always been on the Killian train. I've been a little bit more skeptical over the last couple months, especially in the off season. And but Killian, man, he's playing great.
He's putting on a show.
Yeah, and if you follow us on Instagram, which go follow us on Instagram, Revved.up906, you would see that I was talking a little bit about Killian and how his passing is just, it's been off the charts lately.
It's beautiful.
Dude, he should have been a quarterback at Clemson or something, like, because he just slings it down the court. For example, Sunday night's game against the Cavs, he had 16 points, 8 assists, and 3 rebounds with 33 minutes. I mean, he's proved me wrong so far this season, and I couldn't be happier. I'm so happy to see him playing well because he's one of the draft picks that Weaver stuck his neck out for. You know, we missed out on guys like Cole Anthony, Tyrese Halliburton.
Tyrese is actually playing insanely good right now.
Dude.
He hasn't turned the ball over yet.
Really?
No.
On the season?
On the season, has not turned the ball over yet.
That's pretty surprising.
I mean, it was over like 40 assists.
Yeah. Even when he was on the Kings, I was shocked when they traded him just because he was playing well with them too.
Yeah. I mean, it's worked out for both teams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Sabonis has been great for the Kings. So today's talking point, there's been a lot in the rumor mill about Saddiq Bey, and the Pistons community I think it's almost cut in half. Maybe it sways more towards keeping Saddiq. Maybe we'll put a poll up on our Instagram. But today we're going to be talking about if Saddiq is on the trading block and what are the odds that he gets traded, what's in his favor of him staying in Detroit, and would he work better on another team, and would bringing in somebody new be a fresh look for us. What are your first thoughts on this, Ryan?
He does not need to be traded.
Okay.
See, I think him and Bojan are both complementary players, but at the end of the day, Saddiq has a much higher ceiling than what people think.
Absolutely.
And there's just a reason why he went off for 50 points last year. I mean, granted, it's Orlando, but still, it's 50 points. He can score.
Yep. And I think I think the only reason people like him in a trade is probably because he's just a solid ball player. Most teams are probably willing to give up a little bit more than they would against a guy that's hit or miss. You don't know if he's going to work out. Most teams can kind of guarantee, like the way he's been on the Pistons, that he's going to be a solid player for you, and he's a baller. Yeah,
a lot of the trades I've been seeing, the amount of value you could possibly get back for him, I don't think there's enough value.
No.
Because it's like these bench players that are good role players. They're not anything special. And yeah, they'll throw in a first-round pick, but you're going to have to wait to see if that first-round pick actually pans out, because you could be in a situation where you actually get another Saddiq, and then you're in the same situation that you are in now.
Yeah, and then what if it's 4 years down the line to trade it? Like, I can maybe vouch for a top lottery pick in the next year, the year after's draft, but still, I don't think I'm ready to give up on Saddiq yet. I would see the probability of a guy like Killian getting traded before Saddiq, just because I think Stu and Saddiq are like the top leaders on this team. I say it every week, but I hope Cade will be that leader. But, even like this year, his rookie year, he averaged 12 points, and then he stepped it up a notch his sophomore year and went to 16 points. And this year he's lost, he's at 14.7, but that's nothing too crazy. He was dealing some
and we're only
injuries.
22 games in right now.
Yep. So
barely into the season.
Yeah, and And with a bunch of new young guys, you have to build that chemistry. You don't want to give up on it too soon, because then for the next 20 years, you're going to be talking about of what could have been.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Milwaukee Bucks Detroit Pistons trade with Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
Because, he was but then now he's an all-star, and he's, bold take, he's Batman to Giannis. Giannis is Robin.
What? We'll have to put a poll up on our Instagram, see what people think of that. But that is a hot take.
It is a hot take, but it's accurate.
Okay. We were talking earlier about like if we gave up Saddiq, if we would get anything worth it in return. I know for a fact that one of the teams that has been calling Troy Weaver is the Dallas Mavericks, and I could kind of see him fitting well with Luka because, like you were saying earlier, he's a complementary player. He's, I think, a great player that could play alongside superstars because, he's going to take his shots, but he's not going to take much ball time. He doesn't move with the ball too much. He's a good off-ball player. But, guys like Christian Wood and Dwight Powell on the Mavericks are the only guys on expiring contracts, and neither of those guys we want.
No. Christian Wood left for a reason.
Yeah.
We were giving him the money, and he's like, no, I don't want to. But honestly, everyone on the roster, the only one that I'd want is Luka. He's the only one. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. is good. I like him.
Yeah,
Michigan.
but not Saddiq.
But, there's like nobody on their team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do have Dinwiddie, but do we want Dinwiddie back?
No, we don't.
We have Cade and Ivy.
Yeah. And a lot of people say that Cade's a baby Luka. So I think we got our Luka. I think Cade's going to turn into that. Josh Green and Jaden Hardy, two young guys on their roster, but it's just not really worth giving up Saddiq. I rather, he's been with our junior guys this year for 3 years now. Yeah. Don't mess with that quite yet. If in a year and a half, 2 years from now, the Pistons are these next 2 seasons, we haven't made the playoffs or we're still at the bottom of the East, let's start talking about it a little bit more now. Yeah. But if you're really truly trying to make an argument for a Saddiq trade right now, you're just giving up too early, and I just don't think that's the move.
You're being very impatient if you're wanting him out right now. He's still only 23 years old. That's really young.
Yeah,
he's still a kid like us.
Yep.
So the fact that you're wanting to give up on a kid who's dropped 50 points and who is one of the best shooters in the NBA, come on, people.
Yeah, I will say, like, one thing, Saddiq, one thing that he started this year that does drive me crazy is he'll dribble around the free throw line and then try to back guys down and do these post moves. But I don't know why he's trying to do that when last year and the year before, like you were saying, he shot the ball so well. And he's kind of slowly getting away from that this year. I don't know if that's Casey working on him. I don't know what behind the scenes that is, but it seems so forced, and I just like it when he's stopping and popping, and I don't know why he's kind of getting away.
I don't mind that he's trying to back down in the paint and all that, because it shows that he's trying to work on his game as a whole and not just be a shooter. Because if he can develop everything, the sky's the limit. He's going to be an all-star for sure. There's no way he wouldn't be. The only way he wouldn't be is if you have what normally happens where guys that shouldn't be all-stars get voted on. That's the only way.
Robbed or something.
Yeah, that's the only way. Like Mike Conley, as an example, got his first all-star bid this past year. And it's like he's been a borderline all-star his entire career. Recently, though, he picked it up. So if Saddiq just develops, there's no way he's not going to be an all-star. Yeah,
and especially with guys like Saddiq Cade that draws so much attention. I was talking earlier about how he's a good complementary player to a superstar. That's why Cade needs to start showing, okay, he's a superstar. Because once he does that, Saddiq will be a great player for him to be around Cade. But until Cade starts showing, like, I'm starting to get a little eerie because I'm like, yeah, he's great, he's good, but like I'm just not seeing him climb up the ladder, the totem pole yet. And so that does worry me.
Yeah, he's still really young at the end of the day. This team is very young, like the youngest in the league, actually.
Yeah.
So when we are looking for Saddiq to be like a LeBron or a Kevin Durant or anything like that. You can't expect that right now because there's a reason why he was the 19th pick overall.
Yeah.
And the fact that he never spent any time in the G League, started his rookie season, is averaging 15 points a game in his career, and dropped a 50-point game last season. Like, people.
And something to be said, what happened to In Weaver We Trust?
Yeah.
What happened to that Pistons community? There's a reason why we got those draft picks and we were so excited about them 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. Trust in Weaver. Trust the process. If there's any GM in the NBA, honestly, that I would be like, I trust this guy, it's Weaver.
Yeah.
Like, dude, he's the man.
Other than Danny Ainge for me.
Well, yeah. But but you know, I still like Weaver more for the Pistons personally. But you know, I just don't really see it happen. And another team that was in making phone calls to Weaver was the LA Clippers. You know, another example of having two superstars, and I'm guessing they want Saddiq for that complementary player. And you know, one of the trade options I saw was Saddiq for Brandon Boston Jr., Jason Preston, and then a 28-27 first round pick, lottery pick to be exact. What do you think? There's some potential there with those two guys. What do you think of those two players?
I think they're not going to be anything special.
Okay.
They're going to be role players. That's it. And Saddiq is not a role player. He's an all-star.
I do like lottery picks, though.
Yeah, but
yeah, I agree. It's too
not
risky.
A guaranteed to be good pick.
Yeah,
because the Clippers are a good team.
And you know, we're about to hit 2023. Who knows what's going to be going on in 2027? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like we don't even know who those draft I mean, somebody probably does, but we sure don't know who's going to be projected in that lottery. You know, so what if that's an off year? I mean, that's 4 years from now. What if that's an off year and we're like, why the crap did we trade Saddiq while he was 23?
Yeah, and there. If you look at the Clippers roster right now, there's nobody that I would actually want. I mean, yeah, anybody would want Kawhi. Anybody would want Paul George. But other than those guys, do I want Luke Kennard back? No, not really.
Dude, no.
He's a great shooter, but I don't want him back.
Yeah, but that's what Saddiq
I would want Reggie Jackson back. I'll admit it.
You would?
Yeah, because he's good, okay? But
not on the Pistons.
Not on this team, no.
Every other team, yeah.
Yes, but not on this team. But, I mean, Norman Powell, maybe, but there's nobody that jumps out to me. I'm like, oh, I want them. Because personally, I would want a small forward back for Saddiq because that's the position that we need the most depth in. Because other than Saddiq, we have Hami, and no offense to Hami, but he's a role player.
Yeah.
Freak of an athlete, but he can't shoot.
Let me run by this third team by you, Ryan. I want to know what your thoughts are on this. So the Washington Wizards are going to be the third team I'm going to point out. According to an article I was reading from Hoops Hype, the Wizards like to upgrade their roster and finally make a run for the playoffs with an aging Bradley Beal. They're currently 6th in the Eastern Conference and reportedly would dangle Will Barton, and I know you're a fan of this guy, Denny Advia, and then a solid Rui Hachimura. Are any of those guys worth it to you?
No, because I think Saddiq right now is better than all of them. Because, I mean, the only way I'd do that is if they threw in 2 first-round picks on top of those 3 guys.
Oh, really? Which I don't even know if that's legal.
I mean, you could do that, but they wouldn't put in that much value.
No, yeah.
But Saddiq, people, he is special. You can't give up on him yet.
No,
like you look at our past Pistons players, like Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, Rashid, Tayshaun, Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, Dave Bing, Andre Drummond, even all of them are special in their own way. They don't have to be LeBron or Michael Jordan or Hakeem or Wilt or anybody like that.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we had so much success with those players is because they're special in their own way. And it's not an individual game. It's a team game.
Yep.
So when you have guys built around Saddiq or built around Cade, will have success. It takes a while to get there.
Yeah.
You got to be patient.
How much of the core guys do you think will still be around when we're top 5 in the East? What the core guys, like the junior and to the freshman draft classes?
I mean, I'd like to say Killian will be around still.
Okay.
Cade, obviously. Jaden, Duran, Stu.
You think Stu?
Yeah, I think so. The only way we're giving up Stu is if we can upgrade at that position that we wouldn't be able to otherwise. And if we can get enough value back where we're getting a pick and a player for Stu, I could see it. But the player would have to be like legit. And if this upcoming draft, we're already talking about having the first overall pick anyways. So give me Wemby. I'll take him.
Right. I know.
Because that would be an upgrade over Stu. But Stu, you could really have off the bench as like a 7th, 8th man.
Yeah.
Behind Bojan. And
yep,
that's still a solid roster.
I agree.
But there's not, I pretty much listed all of them.
Yeah.
Because there's no way Bagley is going to stay. There's no way Hami's going to stay.
No.
The only way those two guys stay is if they're perfectly fine coming off the bench and doing the bench warmer minutes but still developing their game. That's the only way I'd see it.
Yeah.
Alec Burks won't be around, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because he's just going to get up there in age. Ronnie McGruder definitely will not be around.
Those starting the last 2 games.
That's true. He won't be around, though. He's old.
No.
Buddy Boeheim will not be around. He won't be, unless he does something. But
no, he'll be playing overseas.
Nerlens Noel won't be around. Isaiah Livers has potential to be around, but I could see him as a piece where it's like expiring contract. You could trade him to get the next big piece on your team.
Yeah.
He's kind of one of those guys where you can plug and play in any system. So
yeah, I think he might be kind of like what we did with Jeremy.
Yeah, I can see that. Kevin Knox won't be around. Kevin Knox would be like an Isaiah Livers in that sense, but
I could see, if we go another big in this year's upcoming draft, I could see maybe Stewart not re-signing. I don't think we trade him. I could see him maybe deciding to go somewhere else. Other than that, though, I think these core guys we got right now, maybe if Killian doesn't keep up the type of play he's been playing at, I could see him getting moved. But other than that, I think this is the base, the foundation of that championship team. I really do. And just a quick go back to the Wizards trade. We pretty much disagree with this because I'm not a big fan of this guy. So the Wizards apparently would offer as a option Saddiq and Nerlens Noel for Will Barton, and then another 2027 first round pick.
You're not getting enough value back.
I've never been a fan of Will Barton, and
he can shoot and he's a playmaker, but there's a reason why he's not an all-star, and there's a reason why he's not going to be, no offense, in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, no, he won't be.
No, he's just a good role player.
Before preparing for this episode, I was thinking about, okay, what would it look like if Saddiq did get traded? And I was like, it'll be interesting to look at the potential trades. And when I actually came to find these trades we were just looking over, I was underwhelmed. I was like, this is really what people are thinking of trading Saddiq for? Like if GM, like the Wizards GM sent me this and I'm Troy Weaver, I'd be laughing. I'm like, this is what you got? Really? We better be talking Bradley Beal because that's the I don't think the Clippers, obviously Kawhi and Paul George are off, and Luka, not an option. But if I'm the Wizards, that's what has to happen.
Yeah, what I'm wanting back for Saddiq right now, if we did trade him, is an all-star and like a first-round pick. That's what I'm wanting because that's how good Saddiq is going to be.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think Weaver is partial to all his draft picks, and so I know he won't pull the trigger too quick unless the Pistons are really getting anything out of it. We already have a lot of mediocre guys on our roster, and I just don't think it's worth it to actually lose players that we've spent draft picks on. And if you want to give me some good draft picks, then we can talk. Like you're saying, these high lottery picks with maybe a borderline all-star. But if you're offering Will Barton, no thanks.
Yeah, don't give me a role player for Saddiq.
No.
Give me an all-star. And honestly, I have two comparisons. So I mentioned Chris Middleton earlier, which it's not really a comparison, but it is just in the sense that we did not give Chris Middleton a fair chance.
Mm-hmm. So if we did get rid of him, it would be
Yeah. And then another guy would be OG Anunoby. Very different play style. But I mention it in the sense that look at Casey. Casey developed him into who he is now. Mm-hmm. Casey is a good coach. He's a good developmental coach because the Raptors are a good team right now because of him. Mm-hmm. So if you're patient, Casey's going to develop Saddiq into something special.
Yeah, and OG was definitely a slow burn kind of guy. You know, I think it was around his fifth year where he actually started making some noise. Yeah. And he's a core guy for that Raptors team.
Yeah, he was a late pick too. Saddiq, late pick. Chris Middleton, very late pick. Mm-hmm. But late picks aren't guaranteed. They typically bounce around in the G League. They tend to be nothing special, but they have a shot at being something special. Mm-hmm. But when you actually give a guy a fair chance, chances are he's going to be good.
Yeah.
And so when I say give Saddiq a chance and stop being impatient, there's a reason for that because he has a lot of potential.
What's your timeline? Where if he continues at where he's at right now with these, season averages of 12, 16 points, 14 points, if he stays at that rate, how long do you give him?
Honestly, if he wants to do that his whole career, I'd be fine with that. Because at the end of the day, when you have a shooter on your team, I'll take a shooter.
Yeah. Because
shooters are what wins championships besides defense.
Especially if Cade's going to, I'm hoping his three-point shooting gets better, but if he continues to struggle at the three, inconsistent, we're going to need a guy like Saddiq to come and get buckets for sure.
Yeah, and Cade loves driving. Jaden loves driving.
Yeah.
So when you have guys you can kick out to like Bojan or Saddiq or now Stu with developing his three, that is what wins championships. Because you look at LeBron with the Lakers, what has he been deprived of this year? Shooters.
Yeah, big time.
They're one of the worst shooting teams in the NBA for a reason.
Which has never been a team that LeBron's on.
No.
A bad shooting team.
No, because people know how to build around him. He needs shooters to have success. It's not a one-man show.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. The Revved Up boys aren't ready to give up on Saddiq yet. Give him a couple more years. See if he gets better. We want him at playoff potential. All-star potential. Yeah. And hopefully one day he's
big time.
Yeah, there we go. I threw up the alley-oop and you dunked it. I like it. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you everybody for listening to this week's episode. Make sure to go follow us on Instagram at Revved.up906 and make sure to subscribe and like and share us. Why not share us? Spread the love to the Pistons community, right?
This could be big time for us.
Yeah, big time. And then if there's any sponsors out there, like, these cool water brands, reach out to us, man. Like, our 15 subscribers are loyal. Yes. You know what I mean? So, all right. Well, that's going to wrap up today's episode. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and peace.